and the team insisted that John join Zach up on the rostrum when he gave his victory speech at the banquet last night. They feel like JCD was a champion in all but name last year. He contributed so much to their season. This was a very late call-up to get to join Eric Filgueras with RS1 this year, and they have taken full advantage of it. Winning races, finding themselves in contention to go for a title. But it's not all in their hands right now with Kitten Cook and Kevin Boehm having such a strong run. This was a look when Lee Carpentier got out of the 52 car from NOLA Sport, and understandable the frustration here. You hate to go into the off-season with bitter memories in the back of your mind.
You do. I'm not sure if Kurt just missed his braking point, had a technical issue, or just got in at the ABS, and that's what sent him barreling down the inside.
When does the pit window open?
36:48 to go in this race.
And they're doing 2-minute lap times. And we were at 38:48, roughly around the time everybody goes in. So depending on the timing here, and maybe race control will slow the safety car to make sure that everybody gets a bite at this apple here, a chance to come in. Yeah, and yes, this is going to be very interesting from a timing perspective on when the field comes around and makes that run into the pit lane. This is shaping up to be Barber all over again, potentially.
It really is. The execution on this pit stop and getting it right tight to that minimum pit stop time of 108 seconds is going to be crucial as well, potentially, in terms of any position could change this championship in terms of the running order today.
One thing that the teams have learned from that experience at Barber, I think they listened to you. It is beneficial if you are coming in just a little bit early to sit and wait a couple of seconds rather than wait a whole nother lap. You have a slower stop, you might lose a little track position, but if you have to do, as we saw a number of teams had to do at Barber, go around a second time and then pit, then you're shuffled to the back behind everyone who has pitted already. And I think teams did take notice of the way that that situation played out at Barber Motorsports Park and are prepared to adjust accordingly. But it's all going to come down to the timing of when the field enters the pits, and it may be moot depending on the pace behind the safety car here on this lap, but we did want to try and cover off that possibility because we have seen it once before this year. Or are we going back to green?
Here we are, but you could still dive in the pit lane. Really tight. I think it'd be right on the number if you chose to come.
And we'll see what teams do now. If Corey Lewis and company want to do that, they have the control of the field here. Are they in their window?
Yeah, I believe they are. Yeah,
and
here
the
they
pits
come.
are open.
Yeah.
Oh, this is going to be really interesting. Half the field stays out. Another half will come in to take advantage of this. Coming to the safety car, that promotes Dario Capitanio to the lead of the race. Some of the Pro-Am lineups might want to stay on track and try and maximize the drive time for their faster driver. We'll see how this shakes out in the wash. Half the field in the pits, the other half on track. We're back to racing at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Josh Green looking inside of Capitanio, also inside of the Porsche. That's Dzelski, but unable to make the move. In the meantime, that's Miles Rowe in the other Porsche looking feisty. He's running up in the 4th spot now. Driver change underway for RS1.
Championship leaders come in, as do the chasers. The Random Vandals machine was in. Lewis was in. He'll turn it over to Gonzalez, looking to sweep the weekend for the Supras.
Job done for Eric Filgueras. It's now up to John Capestro Dubets. How about for this car? Won yesterday, started on pole again today. The changeover from Corey Lewis to Tyler Gonzalez.
Chris Wilson in as well. Here we go. This is going to be tight. I think this was a great break for RS1 to tighten things up.
Yep.
There it goes. He's going to come out right behind Kevin Boehm. Now they get separated by the Supra.
Oof. And that puts Random Vandals in the lead of the race. Extra 7 points to win.
And they're getting gapped
yes.
here. the auto technique, maybe number 51 jumping in there. That would be Colin Garrett now behind the wheel if that is that machine.
The other thing we'll have to do is check the pit stop times to make sure everything is fine. Here comes the field. Oh, this is going to be very interesting as the field comes in. Those that pitted are going to be blending in roughly at the same time while all these battles are ranging. Kevin Boehm with a great getaway, but look at this, he enters right in the midst of this battle and is a lap down. So if a yellow were to come out, they would be trapped a lap down. That would factor into the strategy here too. Nice
little break there for Boehm. He got on with the program as soon as they got out of that timing line, which designates pit out. He got on with the program. I don't think the Supra did, so that really helps his task in terms of gap and JCD a little bit further as well.
He's got to be on it right away. This is really difficult. Fresh out of the pits, no time at all to try and figure out what you've got under you. And Kevin Boehm finds himself in the middle, and there's contact. One of the championship contenders makes contact. He drops to the back of the pack, and I'm sure that will come under scrutiny from race control.
Oh, such a tough position. He had Miles Rowe on one side, Austin Crines on the other. Couldn't make it work out. JCD has gone through and passed the 97 car. That will give the championship to them as they run. See how this developed again. You just got this overlap of the cars. Same sets of tires, just nowhere to go for Kevin Boehm. Two Porsches kind of pinched him.
Now he'll have to get up on the wheel and try and recover. He got the break initially coming out of the pits, found that nice little gap to squeeze into, but then the contact off track, and now Random Vandals finds themselves on the back foot.
What a dramatic final championship day. We've seen it in other classes here this morning. Be determined by contact, maybe this one as well. Okay, and you got our leaders a lap up on the majority of the field who've been down pit lane. Let's not forget that the pit lane minimum stop time is longer than a lap time here at Indy.
Adds an extra wrinkle into the equation, doesn't it? We talked about the fact the two silver class contenders both were on the same strategy. Both of them pitted. However, in AM, they split their strategies. We saw, oh, and there's a puncture for Kevin Boehm right front, or is that suspension damage?
Suspension, I think.
Oh, the championship goes up in smoke.
Can you believe it?
4 years in a row, Kevin has gone into the season finale with a chance at a title. He's a multi-time touring car champion. Still looking for that breakthrough in GT4, and it will not be this year. Let's look at it again.
Yeah, right there as he tried to turn and it broke. Yeah.
Yep.
Wow.
Hard break for Kevin Boehm and Kenton Cook. Paul Sparta, the whole Random Vandals team. Problems as well for Tyler Gonzalez.
Yeah, he's got smoke there. I think that's turn 13.
It's the winner yesterday, but that does not look good at all. That looks serious. He's able to scamper into the pits. Oh, I think it's the left rear, yeah.
Maybe he had contact as well.
It was chaos with half the field doing one thing, half the field doing another, and with the way the field blends back together here at the IMS road course, you just had a feeling something like this was possible. I wanted to cover off, though, the M-Class battle. It was split. We saw Random Vandals pit coming to the green. We saw Rotec stay out. They've now made that swap, or they're doing it as we speak, I guess. Oh, no, this is the other car, sorry. This is Miles Rowe giving it up to Isaac Sherman. See what happens.
Oh,
wow,
he's just by himself. Yeah, he's coming through that high-speed sweeper there into the brake zone for turn 12. It just brakes on him.
Whoa. Lucky not to hit anything or be hit by anyone. But it does not look like it will be a sweep of the weekend for Smooge Racing here at Indy. Boehm has managed to limp back to the pits as well. Dejection on the face of the crew. They are done. Report from the team.
Such an unfortunate situation there in dynamic. Look at the frustration from those crew members. Just cannot believe that They're in great shape. The yellow certainly gave hope for the 28 machine. You see one of the coolers has been split there in that contact, as well as the suspension damage. Just nowhere for Kevin Bohm to go. He tried to just hold it straight and survive that moment down in turn 7, but Porsche just kind of squeezed him, and there was contact.
One more look at the suspension giving up. Remember, there had been contact on the previous lap that probably had something to do with this. At that point, Kevin Bohm knew their chances effectively were done. Now, let's hear from Kenton Cook with Amanda.
Yeah, Ryan, a bit speechless at the moment. Kenton, but what's in your thoughts?
Well, that's our championship done. Unfortunate that we got dive bombed and sandwiched between 2 out-of-class cars, and that caused our damage there and ended our day. Yeah, these guys deserve this championship. They've worked so hard this year, and it's been a hard last. I mean, we come on strong in the last couple rounds, and Kevin's been doing really good, and the whole team's been firing on all cylinders, and so it's just a real big disappointment.
Thank you, Kenton. Kevin Bohm is out of the car right now. I'm just going to walk over and just get quick thoughts on Kevin from what happened in your perspective, and what did you see from the incident?
It's I'm going to have to look at it. Of course, I have a pretty small perspective in a situation like this, but I saw 2 cars kind of trying to go for a position. One of them drove like I expected, and the other just drove like he forgot every other car was on track and just turned himself across the nose of my car. That's from my vision. I'll have to look at it. I've just gutted for the team. I mean, we worked really hard to get into this position all year long. We had a chance at the championship today, and to see it in this way is just, it's pretty gutting. And yeah, it's going to take a little while to get over this one.
Kevin's second season racing in Pirelli GT4. He has contended in championships throughout the SR paddock. It is really tough to see, guys.
The thrill of victory and the agony of defeat both have been on full display at IMS over the course of this weekend. Class Championship still hangs in the balance, though, and it's very close. The 2 cars that are contending run second and third in the class. Rob Holland now aboard the 099 for Rotec Racing, and Michael Kanishak trying to salvage the day for Random Vandals Racing, and they are nose to tail right here. This is the Porsche and the BMW in the middle of the screen.
Yeah, about 3 cars ahead of those of the class leader, James Clay, in the 36 Bimmerworld car.
Overall leaders now making that call to the pit lane. For the cars that elected to stay out as long as possible, maximize the drive time of their pros.
We've done 1 more lap to look at the time on the board. They had to be in pit lane by the time 25 minutes left in this race. Great drive by Josh Green here today, really impressive.
Certainly was. But all the focus now on this battle right here. Michael Kanishak, not even the full season driver. He got drafted in to take the place of the injured Paul Sparta, and now Chris Wilson's championship hangs on the result of Michael Kanishak, who edges in front of Holland. The 2 do touch, but the BMW is through to the second place in the class.
Yeah, Rob Holland didn't want to give it up. There's a little bit of contact there. Hopefully no damage to either race car. But right now, that would be a 3-point swing. They came in 7 points back, so they need to keep focus forward. They got to go chase down that leader, James Clay, or they need Holland to drop back further into this AMP class pack.
That's right. That pass in and of itself isn't enough, but it was step number 1. For Rob Holland, the good news is the next closest car in class is about 18 seconds behind. That's Anthony Gerasi back in 20th. Kanishak's got to put his head down now and try and catch James Clay. And how big is that gap? It's about 4 seconds.
Random Vandals machine's been really quick here today, so let's see when we get on some clear laps what the pace is like between he and James Clay aboard the Bimmerworld entry. He's got time on his side still.
One more look. This is Kevin Bohm. He's got Crines to the outside, Rowe to the inside. Contact with the right front. Crines goes for a spin Ultimately, though, that right front contact, we believe, is what set up the suspension failure one lap later that took this contender out of the equation. That contact under investigation. It will be reviewed post-race.
Yeah, I think
damage is done.
I think as Kevin said, Miles Rowe did what he expected him to do, just going down the inside and arcing into the corner. I think Kevin Bowen expected for the other Porsche to give him a little bit of time to negotiate the corner. And he just cut across his bow there, so nowhere for Kevin to go. Really unfortunate scenario with the championship being so tight.
Josh Green out of this car. And Sam Craven has taken over. One more pit stop to make.
From the lead.
Yep. Goodrich now in. Dieselski had a good opening stint.
We assume he jumped in. That would have been tight. We weren't watching the car as the clock went down to 25 minutes, but we assume he made it in safely.
So now we wait to see who picks up the overall lead of this race. We watch the Porsche of Goodrich relative to the BMW of Craven coming down the front straightaway, and Colin Garrett, that's the BMW poking out to make the move. Silver class car will take the overall position and now has a chance to take the overall lead of the race if he can clear this Porsche Cayman.
77 car, is that the 77 car jumping?
Yeah, right out of the pits. Dieselski started that machine. It's probably saw Alex Ellis in at Barber.
They have the lead then still, right?
They do,
Yeah.
they do. So trying to chase him down is Colin Garrett.
Oh, and he's off. Just missed his braking point there, Caden did, and off the road in turn 7.
So Garrett is through for class position and for the overall lead of the race. Tough position to be in there for Goodrich on his debut weekend to get thrust out there and right out of the pits. Has to try and fight to hang on to the lead of the race. Let's check again and see as Mackay Stevens knifes to the inside of Craven. Stevens is taken off. He now runs second in silver. Garrett is his target. Stevens, though, slipped wide a little bit, and Craven fights back. Sam looking stout. And that BMW, traditionally pretty good in a straight line, but the Mercedes counters midway down the front straightaway. Stevens needs to make quick work of this car. He looks to chase down Colin Garrett for the lead of the race in silver and overall. Kanishak in the AM class, his pursuit of Clay. One car in between the two of them now. That's Hannah Greenmeyer and James Clay, the class leader. If he can overhaul Clay and take the lead of the race, he should have enough points to win the championship for his teammate, Chris Wilson.
Last lap, he's a couple of tenths quicker than James Clay. That's not going to get it done. It's not really a big delta. Let's see the next few laps, see if he's inching ever closer. Gap right now is right 2.4 seconds.
Would you see two BMW teams cooperate?
Yeah, exactly. I was just thinking the same thing. I'm sure that Paul Sparta is walking down pit lane and having a chat with Charlie Postons, I guess, would be his point of contact at this stage to say, it's a lot to ask, mate, giving up a win at Indy. I think that's the, that's kind of the decisive comment there in terms of this is Indianapolis. This is special for Charlie Poston and James Clay to give up that win. Awfully tough to do.
Especially so on a year in which they have struggled. They have not had many wins, unlike previous years. It would be very cathartic for them, I'm sure, to take victory here today. I can't imagine the range of emotions down in the Random Vandals camp, right? You've got a chance for a title in AM. You've got your Pro-Am car leading in its class, but you've seen your leading lights all season long, Kitten Cook and Kevin Bohm, eliminated from the championship hunt as well. Just a wide swath of emotions for the Random Vandals guys and gals.
Yeah, very much so. Had a strong run going yesterday in the NDA hour as well. A few technical issues that thwarted their charge ultimately, but still a very impressive performance. Colin Garrett continues to lead for Auto Technique here.
Mackay Stevens is chasing him down. Taking a look at their respective lap times. Garrett was quicker on the last lap. Drop it back to look at the 98.
Yeah, that's really the key part of this race right now. Kanishak, what can he do? He's 2 seconds back right now, that last lap, a couple of tenths again, so he's inching closer. James is digging deep. James Clay in the 36 machine to try and hold on to this lead and the win. Got a lot of time left in this race. Oh, that was tight there. Coming off the front straightaway, dropping the wheel. Sam Craven, I think.
Yes. He's got Mateus laced, breathing down his neck. That car was super fast yesterday with Mateus driving. Circuit performance on Race Vision powered by AWS. That tells you where that Mercedes has been stout. Sectors 1 and 2. BMW 97 has the fastest second sector.
Would be when Kenton Cook was behind the wheel.
Yep, that car out of contention now, but that sector time has stood up. Here is Mateus laced. Freedom 100 winner, multi-time Indy 500 starter. IndyCar experience on this road course too.
D'Angela's trying to make some moves on Caden Goodridge there, so Goodridge got lucky to recover from that moment on his out lap. When he came out of the pit lane, I had to double check that he hadn't lost the lap, but they certainly timed that nicely.
They did. Comparing these two times, not a surprise. These teams on alternate strategies here, with Craven doing the finishing stint up against the Pro in this Pro-Am lineup with Mateus laced. And Laced has been reeling him in hand over fist, as you can see on that graphic, over the last 3 laps or so.
And Laced has got a lot of pace here. It's not inconceivable that he could go chase down the leaders, Garrett and Stevens, for the overall win, but looks like he's certainly got his eyes set on Craven first for that Pro-Am class lead.
And how about the ups and downs of this day, of this weekend for RS1? Eric Filgaris, John Capestro Dubens, they find themselves in a position where they will take home the title despite finishing off the podium thanks to misfortune for their rivals.
Gap between Clay and Kanishak down at 1.2 seconds. There it is.
Clear of the traffic now, so now it's head-to-head. Now
Clay,
he's got his team car ahead of him, James Walker Jr. Be on the radio, right, to James? James is in a fight of his own. Demir Hatt's not far ahead. Oh, Kanishak is coming quickly here, Cal. Look at this. Green and white BMW visibly closing in on James Clay, the veteran, the 2-time champion, back-to-back years in the AM class. It's not been their year this year, but they could play spoiler still today.
They could. Gets in front of him, that would be enough as they run. Then the next question would be, can Rob Holland catch James Clay?
Here's a move, Mateus Lace trying to take the second spot away. We'll keep our eyes on the battle, but while we do so, let's hear from Amanda.
Well, Calvin was kind of teasing maybe Paul Sparta would make his way down to Bilborough to talk to this team. Well, actually, it's the co-driver Chris Wilson making his plea to the other AM entry for Bilborough to see what they might do for him. And Chris, I'll just go ahead and stop you right here. What did you say to Bilborough?
Just talking to them about how their car's handling versus ours. That's all. Wishing them the best of luck.
How hard is this watching?
I hate this. This is the worst.
Good luck.
Thanks.
Wilson's fate in the hands of Michael Kanishak, whose Lumarank light seems to be loose.
Uh-oh.
That's flopping around. That can be very distracting.
Well, not only that, we had a car called to pit lane yesterday in the 8 hour because of that issue.
We did. He is there. Can you imagine what's going through the mind of Michael Kanishak, who's called in to help Chris Wilson finish off this title run?
Yeah.
Called in off the bench.
Yeah, just amazing. And Holland is not kept with his group, because I was going to say the next point of reference would be if Kanishek got the lead, but then Holland got around Clay, they would be tied in points. Holland and Landa have the tiebreaker by most wins, even if the Random Vandals car wins here today. They got 4 wins on the year to 2 for Chris Wilson. So still a lot to play out here, and James Clay is really the determining factor in all of this.
Chris Wilson, despite what he told us, has likely made his plea. This is a win on the line for James Clay and Charlie Postins. Those don't come easily, as they have learned this year. If perhaps they forgot, given all the success they've had over the past 2 seasons, this year has been a reminder of how hard this game can be.
Here comes Kanishek, big run. Inching closer, got to be careful there. There's no grip right down to the inside if they do go 3 wide there. James Clay, middle of the road. I don't think he wants to give it to Kanishek. Kanishek working him over there through turn 2. This is awfully tight between the 2 BMWs. Championship considerations on the line. Race car over to the left-hand side of the road. That could be a factor if we want to see a full course yellow. He's back underway, the 94.
Oh, that was Craven, who was running in the top 3 in the Pro-Am class, but he is able to keep going. This battle we're watching effectively is for the championship. As they run, Rob Holland and Jaden Lander would take the AM class title. But if Michael Kanishek, who was called in when Paul Sparta was injured to fill in alongside Chris Wilson, if he can make the pass on James Clay, Chris Wilson would take the AM championship in 2024. That car, whatever the issue was, has them out, that car out of the way, so we're told that is in a safe spot. We won't go yellow for that. 13 minutes still to go in the season, and the AM Class Championship hangs in the balance.
Kanishek wagging its tail of that BMW as he put the power down at turn 12, wringing the neck of this race car, trying to find the performance. We know James Clay can be a tough competitor. He doesn't want to give up this Indianapolis victory.
Well, we saw him go defensive into turn 1 a lap ago. I think that answers any questions about whether or not there might be cooperation. Could there be cooperation between team cars here? Clay goes by his teammate and the car he owns, and James Walker, and Walker prudently will let these top 2 go through. This is the fight for the win in AM, and it's effectively the fight for the championship as well. Wilson in this BMW has a shot at it, but right now it would be the Porsche duo of Lander and Holland. And look at this, Mackay Stevens has caught the race leader.
Yeah, he's really been cutting into that gap by 3 or 4 tenths of a second a lap. He'd love to go off at the end of this championship year with a victory here. Mackay Stevens has teamed up with Jesse Webb once again. They've had so much success in the past, claiming multiple victories. Matthias Leist is now up to 3rd. He's about a couple of seconds back of this lead duo, however.
3rd, but the leader in Pro-Am. That would be a great result for Rintec, for Matthias Leist and Michael Oriema. They've won a couple times already this season. Oh, but this is so good. Can't take your eyes off of it. Clay and Kanishek. Clay, a known commodity in this paddock. He's been racing here for years. He's got those championships we've been talking about. Kanishek comes from the NASA, the National Autosport Association.
Looks to the inside,
ranks.
gives him a little nudge, tries to loosen him up on the entry at turn 13. This is heating up the intensity right now for this win.
Thought about the bump and run. Clay was able to absorb it. Out onto the front straightaway we go, and at the end of that front straightaway, the battle for the overall lead is underway between Mackay Stevens and Colin Garrett. Stevens in that Mercedes, making his first start with this team this season. Remember, he was dropped by Tech Sport earlier in the year, but got the call up to join here at Indianapolis, and he's doing a great job. Change in position, Cal. Kanishek is through.
He has gotten through. What does James Clay? He runs a little bit wide there. So important to keep the tabs on that Random Vandals machine. He has not done that. And this is all going to benefit Chris Wilson. Rob Holland not in the picture right now. Didn't expect this to play out this way here today.
Let's look at this. Again, this is how the move, perhaps the championship winning move, was made. James Clay deep into turn number 1, opens up the door, and Kanishek sneaks through.
Just going into the ABS. Straight on. Just enough to give Kanishek the room to make that move. Look at Matthias Leist, he's right there. our Pro-Am class leader, putting the heat on the lead silver duo.
And he's got to hustle a little bit because Roman DeAngelis isn't too far behind, and Roman is hustling himself. Now, the DeAngelis car does have a very minor post-race penalty for being short on the pit stop. We're talking 0.5 of a second, so hardly anything at all. Mateus Leist has a bigger penalty at 1 second that's still coming. He's able to clear Mackay Stevens, and now maybe Stevens will use Leist to help open up a gap to get by Garrett.
Garrett's doing a great job here. What a year that they've had. The ups and downs. We see the 53 car off the road. Tyler Stone behind the wheel of that machine currently.
Able to rejoin. So Leist now splits the top two in silver. Again, he's got to hustle because he's got that 1 second penalty that is going to be added to the end of his run. Keep an eye on this. Kanishak and Clay still close together. It was only 0.3 of a second at the line. So this championship bid is not done yet. Here it is, James Clay heaping the pressure on the 2023 NASA National Spec E46 champion, Michael Kanishak.
Yeah, he's got the pressure back on. He's regrouped nicely. He made a little mistake down into turn 1. Then it looked like he ran wide through turn 4, but he's regrouped, got back into his rhythm, keeping the pressure on. This is a tough racetrack to defend from. You do open up the door multiple times around a lap if you run the normal racing line. One is right there. But Kanishak just tapping on the rear bumper of James Clay. Clay elects not to do the same thing.
Here comes Leist looking for the overall lead. Garrett has to go defensive there. That keeps Mackay Stevens in the picture, and Roman DeAngelis creeps incrementally closer too in the background.
Yeah, and I think you're right in terms of Leist. He wants to clear these cars because with those post-race time penalties, he's got almost a second he's going to give up to DeAngelis, who sits there P4 overall on the road right now.
Well, DeAngelis has 0.5 of a tenth also, so it's
incorporating that.
Yeah,
Still,
I see,
yeah.
I see. But that is the motivation for Mateus. Trying to find a way past. Ooh, he does get alongside here. Garrett just barely fends him off. How patient is Mackay Stevens willing to be with time running out here?